Welcome to the third grade curriculum preview for the fifth 6 weeks. I hope that you will get your unit overview, have it downloaded, and have a highlighter or a pencil, and as we go along you'll make notes because I will refer to the overview in different parts. So if you want to pause the video at any time, you'll just click on the arrow to stop it and pause it and maybe have a discussion. And then to resume the video, you would just click on the arrow again to resume. Our lead standard for the fifth 6 weeks is Figure 19F. And I really want to look at this because it talks about that students use a flexible range of metacognitive reading skills in both assigned and independent reading to understand an author's message. Students will continue to apply earlier standards with greater depth and complexity and more. This is what I want to focus on right here, complex text. So they're expected to make connections between literary and informational text with similar ideas and provide textual evidence. What I really want you to look at in that strand is that it's both in their assigned independent reading and in their reading with you. So, and it's in increasingly more complex text. So we always want to think about moving kids to the next level, but that is Figure 19F is your lead standard. The processes that we want to use is, once again, independent reading. We want to expect that students are reading independently for a sustained period of time and paraphrase what the reading was about. That means they maintain meaning and logical order. For example, they'll do a reading log or a journal. They'll participate in a book talk. But we want them to start building stamina for just reading, and especially for the STAR test, and we want them to be at a level P. Let me just tell you that should be one of your workstations that they are in self-selected at their independent reading every single day with some type of response to what they're doing. For example, if you wanted them to, you're talking about the difference between informational text and making comparisons, you might have them choose in their book boxes that week to read an informational text and then read a literary text, and then teach them how to compare and contrast, and that would be the reading response for that week. Reading media literacy is here. We want to, they're expected to compare various written conventions using digital media, like for informational email and web-based news articles. So those will be your processes that you're going to be doing this 6 weeks. Genres, theme and genre, they're going to expect you to compare and contrast the settings in myths and traditional folktales. In poetry, they're going to be expected to read a wide range of poetry and explain how the poet uses imagery to convey the speaker's emotion. In drama, they're expected to explain the elements of plot and character as presented through dialogue in scripts that are read, viewed, or written or performed. In persuasive text, they're expected to identify what the author is trying to persuade the reader to think or do. So those are your genres for this 6 weeks. Vocabulary, continuing to have 10 to 12 vocabulary words selected from authentic text. In your spelling, you have changing Y to I before adding an ending, and spelling high-frequency words and compound words from a commonly used list, and then spell words with common syllable constructions with final stable syllable. So now, knowing what your lead standard and your partnering standards are for reading, what would your instruction look like? One of the things I really want to talk to you about is your cursive writing, is that we want them to write in cursive at least 75% of the time. So as you have taught that and where you are in your cursive writing, remember that we have a teaching writing cursive document that you can refer to that gives you a scope and sequence about how to teach that. Then remember, in vocabulary, refer to your building vocabulary through literature. And then with your spelling, use your English 3-word study because you have explicit instructions week by week about what you are to do in the word work. Your reading focus lessons, you're going to be using your how well do your ideas stick together, your resource, your poster, and they're going to be studying how the writer's choice of genres impacts the way they develop ideas to build a coherent message. So what you want to do, you want to provide opportunities for them to identify what the author is trying to persuade the reader to think or do, discuss similarities and differences between different types of text, compare and contrast the settings and myths in traditional folk tales, explain the difference in point of view between a biography and an autobiography, and compare the use of text features, bold print, captions, keywords, in text for a variety of genres. Right there you have a plethora of focus lessons on just that. In dialogue, in teaching dialogue, you want to refer to the Understanding the Function of Dialogue. That is a resource that we've given you. And then if you'll look in your overview, you will see that we talk about all the skills that we have taught, because pretty much we have done most all of the skills that are needed for the STAR test. So what we need you to do is start looking at your data and taking a look at what are the standards that I need to be able to reinforce, and I might need a little bit more time on. Look at your overview, and it gives you some directions on about all the different standards that we've had. Refer to your district clarifiers to get further things. If you have Mentoring Minds, use your teacher guide of your Mentoring Minds to help you in doing focus lessons for those. And our reading expectations, just want to remind you that you're continually working with those small guided reading groups, and that you start with your highest needs kids and you meet with them every single day. Remember that you need to really monitor the kids who are reading independently. Make sure there are expectations for their independent work toward that reading independently every day. 300 minutes of independent reading and self-selected text, 300 minutes of independent or guided reading and assigned grade level text. And then just make sure that they're reading with comprehension and fluency, and then make inferences about text using textual evidence to support understanding. And you need to be completing 1 to 3 weekly written responses with your kids. I want to remind you that the CBA Blueprint is up for February. You'll find it in the yearly documents, and this one is an attachment down here at the bottom. I've also given you the comprehension scaffolding. That's a great one by Jan Richardson, but your CBA is down there, so make sure that you go there and look at the blueprint to make sure you understand what's coming. What I want to remind you of too is that once we looked through the last CBAs and we looked through the data, we came to the conclusion that kids really are not going through a process when they do these type of assessments. So here's our suggested procedures, and it's kind of a modified close reading. And you should practice this several times during the 6 weeks to enable to build the student's capacity to follow through. First, teach the kids to read the entire passage, just to read it to read. Then second, they're going to read the passage a second time. During this reading, students will annotate each paragraph for the main idea, summarizing, focusing on keywords. Third, students will identify the author's purpose for writing this piece. In expositor or a piece of subheadings, consider having students note the purpose for each section. Have them ask, why did the author write this piece? And then 4, then they read and answer the questions using the text evidence that they have noted in the passage. So I hope that was something that you can focus them in on and help them in reading, and I think we will get better results. Let's take a look at writing. Writing is they're supposed to write about important personal experiences. This is their lead standard. We want them to select words intentionally to fit the purpose and to convey appropriate tone for the writing task. They have personal narrative writing, and then they're going to write personal expository writing, getting ready and writing. Very important that we continue to write with them. I know that you're getting ready to take that reading test, but we need them writing every day. In the writing process, you're going to continue that they're going to, in planning they have an effective plan, and then they maintain logical, well-controlled progression of ideas, and that they improve fluency by varying their sentence structure, and then they proofread for accuracy application of all of the spelling words that you have and all those rules that you've applied, making sure that they apply those. The genres is that we want them to write imaginative stories that build plot and climax and continue to add details to characters. We want them writing expository and procedural text. And it says students are expected to use detail and word choice appropriate to the expository task to convey the writer's unique perspective on the topic. In conventions, we want them to, you are focusing on adjectives and how to use them appropriately in a writing piece. So your writing focus lesson, let's take a look at what those would look like. You reinforce and constantly monitor the stop routine to teach proofreading. I want you to see the overview. Review the freeze time techniques. Write paragraphs with clear main idea that is supported by relevant details or facts. Present conclusions about a familiar topic. Think about conclusions and what are good conclusions. Talk about transition words. Really, truly practicing each day freeze time and going through that process with them about how to build good paragraphs. Follow the plan to write a personal narrative. Strategically include and exclude information in order to maintain a narrow, cohesive central message. Again, use purposeful transition words and sentences that connect ideas within and between the paragraphs so a relationship is clear, and provide details that describe the characters and explain the changes they undergo. So what you would need to do there is to actually take a piece of the writing, some of their writing, and go through and take a look at how they're doing that and revise and edit papers in front of them. Review the conventions of poetry found in various forms, and then you refer to the procedures described in Grade 3, Unit 3, and look at the overview for those. The end of the 6 weeks, they're expected to have 2 to 3 first draft personal narratives, 2 to 3 first draft informational. And as they're writing independently, please walk around and monitor the work, stopping periodically for 1 to 2 minutes to conference with individual kids. As you're making notes, look at the smart moves they're making and notice and describe them and celebrate them with them during the reflection time. Example of freeze time strategies used to develop the paragraph. If they're using freeze time, just absolutely celebrate and show those in focus lessons as you do those. And then just take a look at all the different writing expectations. They're supposed to move smoothly from one idea to the next. They need to do effective habits using their stop and their pair, and then using the word wall and their collection of spelling words to really check their spelling in their writing. The last thing I want to do is celebrate the digital learning specialist. They have just come back from TCA where they presented and were showing others at what we're doing in this district using technology to enhance reading. So take a look at this link, and it's really a great one about how to use iMovie in reading to enhance. So I hope this helps you with your planning. Let me know if I can help you in any way. All the clarifiers should be up, and please use those and download those. Just give me a call if you need my help.